Hi grades 3, this is Miss David. So today we are going to work on text page, your textbook page 83. And at the end of the video, you're going to be working on exercise 39 in your workbooks. So we have been working with time, and so far we've learned about time or hours, minutes, and we are going to work on word problems today. So these word problems will have to do with solving time problems, okay? So they will be about time. So I am going to do 2 questions with you where we will look at how do we do word problems that involve time. So the question here I have is, Joe arrived at the zoo at 9:40 a.m. and stayed until 3:20 p.m. How much time did he spend at the zoo? Okay, so we are going to look at our starting times. They have given us the starting time, which we know is 9:40 a.m. So in the morning, a.m. in the morning. And then we have he stayed until 3:20 p.m., right? So after 12 in the afternoon, we switch to p.m., remember? Okay, so he arrived at 9:40. So what I did was I drew a line and I divided my time, okay? This was to help me. So I looked at my starting time, right? And I know that it is 9:40, right? Then we can count up the hours from 9:40 and let's see where do we stand, okay? So 9:40, let's start counting our hours all the way to, so I did 9:40, then from 9:40 to 10:40, that is 60 minutes, which makes it an hour, because look, 9:40, okay, so I start at 9:40. This is where he came to the zoo, right? 9:40. Then from 9:40 to, let's say, so I have 5 minutes, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60. So that means an hour later, so 9:40 to 10:40, that is 60 minutes. That makes it an hour. So now I'm going to count from 9:40 all the way to 2:40. Okay, so 9:40 to 10:40 gives me 1 hour. 10:40 to 11:40 gives me 2 hours. 11:40 to 12:40 gives me 3 hours. 12:40 to 1:40 gives me 4 hours. 1:40 to 2:40 gives me 5 hours. And then, look, I don't have anything because he stopped at 3:20. If he had stayed until 3:40, right, then we would have had another hour, which would make it 6 hours. However, he stopped at 3:20. So now at 2:40, we know we won't have any more 60 minutes, right? So we won't have another hour. So now we need to see from 2:40, so let's look, all the way from 2:40, so this is my small hand, should be at 2 because that's the hour, and then 40 minutes. So 2:40 all the way to, let's look at 3 o'clock. Instead of going all the way to 3:20, let's see how can we go from 2:40 to 3:20, 3 o'clock, and how many minutes is that? So 2:40 to 3 o'clock, I have 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and 20 minutes. Remember, all these minutes, all these big numbers, they represent, we count them up by 5. Okay, that's why even the 5 times table, do not confuse it saying that, oh, this isn't, how can it be 5 when it should be 45? Because 5 times 9 gives me 45. Right now, I'm just counting from 8 all the way to 12. So that would give me 3 o'clock. Okay, so 5, 10, 15, and 20. So that means 2:40 to 3 o'clock would make it 20 minutes, right? So all the way here, and then I would be right at 3 o'clock. So 20 minutes. So I'm going to write down 20 minutes, right? So I have 20 minutes, and then I need to go all the way from 3 o'clock to 3:20. So 5, 10, 15, and 20, right? So that means I have another 20 minutes. Now it's much easier for me to say how many. So he stayed at the zoo 5 hours, for 5 hours. And how many minutes? 20 plus 20 gives me how many? 40, right? So he stayed 5 hours. I'm going to write my sentence. He stayed 5 hours and 40 minutes. T-E-S. Okay. So that is one way of doing these word problems, where you can count up the hours, where you can divide up your hours, and you can count up from your starting time all the way to your ending time. Okay, now let us look at another example.